Today we're going to be looking at the EnderToys Terrain Gothic Ruin Set A. Now this is actually a scenery print from terrainforprint.com that EnderToys is 3D printing and selling. This is an ideal set for something like Games Workshop's Warhammer 40,000, where it's a very industrial sci-fi yet also very religious inspired, so large Gothic windows. This set is comprised of two pieces that can be stacked as they are here, and it's actually a very large piece coming in at just under 9 inches. Looking at the lower half first, you can tell it's a very tall piece, and just the bottom of the window ledges goes up well past the normal size of a 32mm figure, so your Death Guard, your Space Marine sized equivalents are not going to be able to see through or over the lower ledge. So it's actually a fairly sized piece if you're trying to block view or line of sight, which if you follow some tournament rules, you can't shoot through the lower floors of windows anyways. To help get an idea of how tall the lower floor is, I'm going to compare it with some other pieces of terrain. So first, the Sector Imperialis ruins. So this set clearly fits underneath or within the height of this first ruin, but you can tell it was also a big inspiration for the bits, or this piece. As you can see, they have very similar yet distinct Gothic windows. They also seem to have the similar columns separating all the windows and the wall sections. You can also see lots of inspiration for some of the details within. Now, if you got the Command Edition starter set, this is some of the the Adeptus Mechanicus ruins, and again, they fit within the footprint of this lower section. So this big piece is a nice way to make a good centerpiece for a battlefield, or if you want, because there are two portions, you can use it as two separate buildings. Now, if we look at some of the detail on the inside walls, you can see here there's lots of battle damage built into the walls. It's got a series of radiators or radios. It's got pipes leading up to a control panel on this side. Again, here we see some similar, almost like electrical conduits and battery packs. What looks like an electrical switch box, more piping and ventilation. The outside is just as detailed, where we see battle damage on the pillars. We have pipes going up the wall, what look like power outlets here, and again, electrical control terminals. On this side, we appear to have more piping, as well as what could be a speaker or stereo system here. Now, the lower floor supports the upper floor and holds onto it using a series of square pegs, essentially. Now, these just slot into holes on the bottom of the upper level, and while there's a bit of room that can move around now, I'm sure that primed and painted, that will not move around as much. Moving on to the second floor, now this one's a little better in scale with some of the Games Workshop sets. As you can see here, the lower portions of these walls are actually low enough that a model can see and shoot through, so that won't be much of a problem in terms of blocking line of sight. This smaller portion is just as detailed. First of all, on the base you can see, or on the floor you can see remains of rebar for the floor. There's individual tiles that have been printed out and have some detail and etchings on them. The side walls have just as much battle damage as the lower floors, if not more so. And again, you can see air exchange, outlets. This side has a small computer terminal and some internal piping. And on the outside, you can see again another one of those audio systems. The similar piping from below has been carried up through, and just the general damaged pillar styles have been carried over. Now, while this is intended to be the upper floor to the other portion, it is large enough in scale and size to actually represent or be used as its own building. So if you get this set, you can either choose to stack them one on top of another to make one large building that could be the centerpiece for your battlefield, or have them as two separate units and use them to represent two different buildings on your battlefield. This is what I meant by the square pegs on the bottom of the upper piece. Again, they just sit on top of the bottom floor with the pegs slotting into these sections. Overall, I think this is a great way to set up some big Imperial ruins for your Warhammer 40,000 games, especially considering now, at least where I am, you can't seem to find their old Imperial ruins on their website. Like I said, this is rather large. It's 9 inches tall when stacked, so it's bigger than I was expecting. But again, it's a great way to show a massive building dominating your battlefield. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think about this below, and if you would get it yourselves.